Okay, today I'm going to be showing you how to play From the Start by Leve. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. Correct me if I'm wrong though. Okay, so let's get right into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put a capo on the first fret of the ukulele. This is so you can play in the same key as the song. You could also do bar chords, which is what I would normally opt for, but when I learned the song, my fingers were very weak because I hadn't played in a while, so capo it is. Let's get into the chords now. Before I start going through all the chords, I'm going to be saying things as if this capo were just the top of the ukulele. So I'm going to consider the second fret now the first fret and the third fret the second fret basically. And another thing I want to point out is that I'm playing a ukulele with a low G string, so my plucking pattern and the chords will sound a little bit different because I'm playing a G with an octave lower, but the song will sound good on whatever octave of string you're at. So there's kind of 6 main chords throughout the song. The first one is going to be a D minor 7, which sounds like this. You want to have your middle and ring finger on the second fret of the G and C string, pointer finger on the first fret of the E string, and pinky finger on the third fret of the A string. And then we have a G7 chord. You can leave your pointer where it is and then create this kind of triangle shape. And then we have a C major 7 chord, which you can just use your ring finger for. And then we have an E minor chord, which is like this staircase chord, kind of going up the frets. And then there's an A7 chord, which is a fairly easy one, like C major 7. And then the hardest chord, in my opinion, would be the F major 7, which you're going to play a regular F chord with your pointer and middle finger. And then you're going to put your ring finger on the third fret of the A string and your pinky on the fourth fret of the C string. So those are the 6 main chords throughout the song that will kind of repeat through the chord progressions. And then we have a few additional like diminished chords at the end, but I'll get into that when we talk about the outro of the song. So the next thing I want to show you is the plucking pattern that I like to use. The song uses kind of a fun bossa nova pattern, so it's going to sound like this. So you're going to want to designate one finger for each string so that you can pluck them all together. So it's easiest to have your thumb on the G string and then have your pointer on the C string, middle finger on the E string, and ring finger on the A string. So you're going to be separating those into 2 different plucking parts, if that makes sense. It'll go your thumb and then the rest of the fingers. I'll just play through it slowly, and I'll also have a tab here showing the rhythms of how that should go. So I'll play through it on a D minor 7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So as long as you have that 4 and together and then the 1 is on the 1 beat, 1 and 2 and then it's kind of a back and forth between the thumb and the rest of the fingers doing a little bit of a syncopated bossa nova groove. So let's start adapting that into the chord progression. So I'll start off with doing the chorus of the song. The chorus chord progression is going to be a D minor for half a bar, and then G7 for the other half of the bar, and then C major 7 for one whole bar. So it'll sound like this. So you're going to repeat that chord progression 2 times, and then we go to a D minor 7 again, and then a G7, and then to an E minor this time for half a bar, and then A7 for the other half. So altogether that will go D minor 7, G7, E minor, and then A7. And then the last 2 bars of the chorus is going to be D minor 7, G7, and then C major 7 again. So now I'll play through all of it with the lyrics and the plucking pattern, and you can try to play along following the chords. 1, 2, 3. That when I talk to you, oh Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. So that's the chorus. Now let's move on to the verse. It's going to be the exact same chord progression except for the first 2 bars. You're going to want to do a slightly different plucking pattern, and we're going to start off on an F major 7. So just like the intro of the song and the beginnings of the verses, it's going to sound like this. So I know that's a little bit different from the song, but that's how I like to play it. So the chord progression there is F major 7, G7, C major 7. So it's the exact same chord progression, except we're just starting with an F major 7 instead. So after you play that F major 7, G7, C major 7, you're going to go back to the D minor 7, G7, C7. And it's going to be the next 4 bars are going to be the same as the chorus. So I'll put that up over to the side so you can see the whole chord progression. But then at the very end, the last 2 bars, you're going to do a D minor 7 for 1 whole bar and then a G7 for 1 whole bar. So I'll play through the chords all together to give you an idea. And then one other thing to add is the intro of the song is going to be that F major 7 with the new plucking pattern G7, C major 7. So I'll play through the intro and then the first verse to give you an idea of how that sounds, and you can try and play along. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't you notice how I get quiet when there's no one else around? Me and you and awkward silence. Don't you dare look at me that way. I don't need reminders of how you don't feel the same. And again, at the end of each of those sections, so at the end of the intro, I just plucked it. I didn't finish the entire bossa nova plucking pattern. I would pluck just once before the last beat. And same thing goes for the end of the verse and then the end of the chorus. So that's kind of just a reoccurring thing throughout the song that I like to do to add a little bit more momentum to the next part of the song. So that's pretty much the entire song. The one last thing there is to learn is the outro. There's this tag ending that keeps going. So after the last chorus, there's going to be an additional D minor 7 when Leify goes, confess I loved you, just like that tag ending section. And for the outro, I like to just pluck all the chords or do like a down strum or something like that instead of doing the regular plucking pattern to change the tempo a little bit. So the ending is going to go D minor 7, G7, and then we're going to add in 2 new chords. So first we're going to play an E diminished, and then we go to an A7, and then a D minor 7, and then we go to a D diminished chord. So you'll want to have your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the G string, ring finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, middle finger on the 1st fret of the E string, and then pinky on the 2nd fret of the A string. And that'll sound like this. And then the final chord, you can just play a regular C chord. So all together, that outro will sound like this. Confess I loved you, just thinking of you. I know I've loved you from the start. Okay, that time I played the C with my pinky finger, so you can really do whatever you want. So as you can see, the outro, you kind of have a free tempo. You can play at whatever speed you want. Yeah, it's pretty much up to interpretation. Love that. So the structure of the song kind of goes, there's 2 verses and then a chorus and then 2 verses and then a chorus, and then we go to the outro. So now to give you a better idea of how it should all sound kind of cohesively, I'll play through technically the 4th verse, which is like after the scatting improvisation section of the song. I'll play through that to the ending of the song. 1, 2, 3. What's a girl to do, lying on my bed staring into the blue, unrequited, terrifying love is driving me a bit insane. Have to get this off my chest, I'm telling you today. talk to you. Oh, Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. Confess I loved you, just thinking of you. I know I've loved you from the start. Perfection. That is the entire song pretty much. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and if there are any other songs you want to see tutorials for, also let me know. Anyways, I hope this all made sense. Thanks for watching. I will see you in another video. Actually, I won't see you. You will see me.